Ashad Deshpande is a dynamic global sales leader at Question Pro. I recently came across Question Pro through one of their salespeople, and she did a demonstration for me of the amazing thing that Question Pro can do. And so I requested that he come and do the same demonstration for all of us, particularly in terms of our data collection. So at Question Pro, he leads a highly performing team that is dedicated to unlocking customer potential and driving strategic growth. So he has a strong passion for people development, and he champions a leadership philosophy that is grounded in ambition, in execution, and in enjoyment, empowering the next generation of leaders to dream big, to get things done, and to thrive in a collaborative environment. His extensive experience is in research technology space, and he combines this with a commitment to innovation and customer success, making him a trusted voice in the next generation research practices and platforms. So we're very happy to have you here, and I hope we can have you in another face-to-face session so that you can actually give us a practical demonstration of what this platform can do.
Thank you so much, everyone. So thank you so much, Dr. Brigitte. That was a wonderful introduction. So very good afternoon, everyone. And thank you so much for having me on today's webinar. Dr. Brigitte was saying, just to give you some more background about my functions here. So I've been closely working with higher education for the last 10 years, working with academic researchers and, faculty, students to help them run different kind of research and surveys itself, right? And one of the key things that we're going to discuss in today's agenda was going to be how do we conduct academic research using, next-gen data quality or data collection tools, and how does someone start their research from scratch, collect data and analyze it with different available options that we have today, along with AI-enabled functions. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and quickly share my screen here. As we get going, I'd like to keep this webinar and session really engaging and open for questions. So do feel free to post your questions in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself as well if you have any specific questions during the webinar. Question Pro is an online survey software company. We are based out of Austin, Texas, and we have an office in London as well. And what we do is basically we help universities run different type of research using our platform. Now, some of these universities that you see below on the logos over there are actually our active customers and have been using us for conducting surveys and research. A bit more about what Question Pro does, right? So it's basically a survey and data collection platform, which is essentially used by faculty, students, researchers, as a university-wide data collection platform. It helps you create surveys from scratch. You can go ahead and create surveys for any kind of research with different type of question types, with open-ended questions, close-ended questions. It might be ranking, rating scales itself, and helps you design a questionnaire which is optimized and aligned to help you with your research goals. Question Pro essentially is, designed to be extremely intuitive, and we're going to deep dive into the product over here as well to just show you how it works and, in general, why students and researchers, across the globe have been using us. It's basically easy to design a survey questionnaire from scratch. You can create different question types and then help you with data collection. And it is essentially also compliant with all the ethical research standards for universities for data collection as well. With, obviously, while you're designing a survey, it's about data collection, right? So you go ahead and create questions, analyze the data, and then, you can obviously visualize it in different type of reporting forms. And then you can even do a lot more advanced analytical techniques on the data that you've collected as well. So we'll look into some of those techniques as well when we deep dive into today's product. So one of the things that we would like to discuss today is, like, if you've been using some other tools, or if your university does not have a survey tool in place, you can definitely reach out to me, and I'm going to share my contact details towards the end of the presentation, where I can help you with any of your academic research objectives and goals. So what can you actually do with Question Pro, right? So for researchers, you can go ahead and create any kind of research survey, right? You're probably trying to do some market trend analysis, you want to do some consumer behavioral research, or it might be just any functional topical research that you want to collect data on. So the idea is you can use Question Pro to go ahead, create a questionnaire, and then use that for collecting data from all the respondents that you have targeted. Collect the data and then use advanced analytical tools essentially to analyze the data set that you've captured from surveys. For teaching staff, you can definitely use it for running feedback, learning assessments, course evaluations as well, or even live polls or trivia. So essentially, all of those techniques can be used for teaching and learning as well. For students, obviously, there are modes where you can just go ahead. If someone wants to be innovative and start up maybe a business idea, or wants to be in an accelerator program or maybe a startup program, they can definitely validate their business ideas using Question Pro by creating a very simple survey, ask certain questions about the market conditions, and then get quick data onto the platform. Let's dive in about how does Question Pro work, right? So we're going to deep dive into the product right now on how we can go ahead and design the survey. It's pretty intuitive. It's very easy to use. So when we deep dive, just in case if you have any specific functional questions, feel free to post them in the chat. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share the other tab here. There we go. So this is Question Pro. So you can go to our website, that's questionpro.com, and you can go ahead and sign up for a free account in Question Pro over here, right? You access your Question Pro account, you can just log in, and once you're logged in, you will see something like this. So over here, you can create different folders where you can organize all of your research projects. And over here, you can start off by creating a new survey from scratch. So let's see if I click on create a new survey. I do have an option of giving it a name. So let's say research survey. I can click on create. And over here, I'm navigated to a pane where I can start building my research survey questionnaire. Now, a couple of things that you can do is you can start off by adding a logo. So if you would like to brand it with your brand guidelines of your university, you can go ahead and do that as well. So let's say I'm going to add this for an example. All right, so I've added the logo, and now I can start off building the survey questionnaire. Now you can see that there are a couple of options that you see here. Either you have an option to build with Question Pro AI, or you can add a question directly from scratch as well. Let's say if you'd like to add an introduction text, you can click on add an intro and kind of give the respondents an introduction about what the survey is all about. What's the topic? Why are you planning to do this research? And essentially any other ethical information that you want to have your respondents to read through before they start answering your survey. Let's say if you want to add a consent form, which is generally required for research, you can add your consent content over here. And this is a free text editor, so you can go ahead and edit your text content over here. And then if you go to settings, you also have a checkbox where you can proceed to I agree before they start the survey questions. Now, let's start by adding a block of question here. So if I click on add block, I can give it a name, let's say demographic questions, right? Now, I can start off by adding questions to the survey over here. Let's see if I click on add question, I get a series of different question types under basic that I can choose from. I've got single select, multi-select, drop-down questions, rating scales, and much more. Look at an example. We've got a multiple choice question here. Let's say if I select this one, and I'd like to say, what is your gender, for example? And you can see that the answer options have populated automatically, but I can go ahead, click on edit, and add them one per line in this section itself, right? Then I can choose maybe a drop-down question. And here, I can go ahead, add a couple of options over here, one per line, or I also have a scale library. And let's say if I want to add all the European countries, I can just choose this, for example, click on save, and I get a beautiful drop down where I can just simply choose from in this section. Furthermore, let's say I want to do something a bit more engaging, so I can add a rating scale as well. So for example, if I would like to add, how satisfied are you with our services or something like that, I can go in over here and add a question type and easily program it as well. I can pick and choose any of these smileys or even add a custom smiley section in this section as well. More to this, you can even add some advanced question types like a matrix question here. So in the matrix question, you have to define the rows and the columns. Tell us about your experience, for example. And in the rows, let's say I'd like to add product, customer service, let's say billing, and overall. So add that in the section. And then over here, I have an option to go into columns and then add a rating scale. Now I can also choose something that I already have predefined here. Let's say we want to add something like this. And that's how you can easily set up a question. Let's say if you'd like to add an open-ended question, you can use a comment box. So let's say tell us about your experience, right? And you can add a follow-up question as well by using a text box over here that can follow through on this question type. Furthermore, if you'd like to add any other rank orders, constant sum, if you want to get some budgeted questions as well, you can go ahead and do that. We also have something called as drag and drop. So if you'd like to get some preferential options from respondents, you can use a drag and drop option as well. If you'd like to use date and time to capture, let's say, date of birth or any other date of submission of a report, any of those functional options, you can go ahead and use this question type. Let's say if you're posting your survey on social media, I definitely recommend you to use CAPTCHA, which avoids any kind of bots to answer your survey. We can even use calendar or even maps. So you can go ahead and choose a specific map and use that to design your survey question itself. Furthermore, we can move on to some advanced question types. If we move on to this tab, you can get to see a couple of other question types like Net Promoter Score, which is used for Customer Satisfaction Index, Van Westendorp, and Gable-Granger, which are used for price sensitivity, where you can actually do some product testing or price testing for a new product launch. You can even do two polls. So if you would like to use a video and use that on your survey, you can post a video on Question Pro as well, or maybe even an audio file. So you can have a rating scale and a follow-up question, post a video on a survey. Furthermore, we also have options like heat maps, hotspots, and text highlighter. So if you'd like to get feedback on content, this is definitely a best way of getting through. We've also got cart sorting, so this is similar to ordering itself. So if you'd like to get preferential ordering, you can go ahead and use that. And we've also got consumer behavioral research question types like conjoint and maxdiff over here as well. So if you want to run a survey to understand the price sensitivity of a specific brand in the market, or maybe the understanding the utility value of significant testing on brands, you can go ahead and use some of these question types. We also got something like a side-by-side matrix or even a common question type, which can be organized with multiple questions on one question type itself. Let's say if you would like to capture a verified digital signature, you can go ahead and do that. So just like you might have seen tools like DocuSign or EverSign, which is essentially used for getting signatures from respondents, you can go ahead and use that as well. You can even have respondents upload an attachment or a file. So for example, let's say if you'd like them to upload their resume, or for example, any other document that you want them to upload, you can go ahead and use that in this section as well. So that's how you can go ahead and use and design a survey using different question types, right? And you can go ahead and add as many questions as you need on this section. One of the key things is that you need to make your survey smarter, right? So ensure that the number of questions that you have are to the minimums, because longer surveys are no more, you know, answered by all the respondents. So to get high response rates, you need to optimize your survey and the content on how you ask these questions. You can also build with AI. So if you'd like to add a question and build with AI, you can go ahead, click on build with AI, and simply type in the topic of your survey. For example, I'm going to put in a topic here, course evaluation survey. I can simply click on generate, and this will give me an output of certain questions that I can use on my survey itself. So we've built this AI tool to basically help you optimize, or help you create questionnaires. It's basically something to just support you to design your survey. This may take a few more seconds as it comes up. There we go. So we do get recommendations for the AI to choose different type of questions. We can choose the ones that have been recommended if we like them, or we can even go ahead and edit them as well. Let's see if I want to select all of these questions and add them to my survey. I can simply click on add. They are added to my survey. Now I can go ahead and make edits to these as well. So you can see that it's pretty intuitive. You can go ahead, edit any specific question that's been programmed here. So that's how you can build with AI as well. Now, when it comes to survey design, you can go ahead and program surveys in different languages. Let's say if you have respondents which are across the globe answering the survey from different sections or parts of the world, you can add languages to your survey. If you go to languages, you can click on add language and pick and choose any specific language that you'd like to add to your survey. For example, I've designed the survey in English. Let's say if we'd like to add French or any other language over here, I can pick and choose that in this section. Click on save. And then we have a function over here called as auto translate, which will automatically translate the survey for you in that specific language. This uses Google's translate engine to help you translate your survey in that specific language. All right, so now we've got this language translated. We can then go ahead and preview the survey. So if I click on preview here, it asks us which language we'd like to prefer, and then we can take the survey in this section. Let's say I'd like to change the language. I can just preview this again and take the same survey in French as well. So that's how you can use multilingual approach to your surveys as well. If you'd like to import some manual translations, you can go ahead and do that and override the existing translation as well. Now, if we go to settings, we do have some survey settings that we can use. Like for example, enabling a close date and time, or adding response quotas. So you can go ahead and add a specific quota or a limit to a survey as well. And you can enable respondent anonymity assurance if you'd like to keep the survey completely anonymous. This helps you collect any kind of sensitive information as well from respondents, and they feel assured that the data is not going to be tracked to a specific personal identity. So this is something that you can enable in functions of a survey. Now let's say if you've designed your survey, you've tested it out and you've previewed it and everything looks good to go, you can send out the survey through different techniques and modes, right? One of them is email. So you can go ahead, upload an email list here under a list, and then select that list from this drop down. Customize the subject line of the survey invite, and you can even add personalized tokens. Let's say I'd like to add first name / last name, and then customize the content. I can customize this email content, perhaps even add a logo on the top, and either send or schedule the survey to go out. We can also send out the survey through an SMS. So if you have the phone numbers of the respondents, you can even send them out through text messages. So let's say if you want to send out the survey, I can click on send, and the survey will be sent out to those respondents. All right, So the invite is sent out, and then we can see how many of those emails have been delivered, responded over here as well. So you can see the statistics of the distribution over here through email. Now, let's say if you want to just go ahead and push this survey on social media instead of having it pushed on, through an email. You can copy this link, which is on the top, and publish this link on social media or different channels where you can actually get respondents to answer this survey. We also have a QR code where you can actually download this QR code, print it out, and then have people scan and take the survey on through a QR code as well. All Question Pro surveys can be taken through different devices, so it can be through a tablet, iPhone, laptop, any mobile phone itself, right? And it will be accessible through any device. It will open up the survey in a browser, and respondents can collect data or fill in the survey. Question Pro also has a mobile app where you can download the Question Pro mobile application, which can be used for offline data collection. So let's say if you want to collect data in regions where there is lack of internet connectivity, or perhaps even use a tablet or a phone as a kiosk where respondents can come in and fill out the survey, you can click on Add Device and activate your Question Pro offline tablet over here by using a device key and a password. That enables you to collect data completely offline, and it will allow you to sync that data whenever your phone or tablet is connected to Wi-Fi. So there are a lot of studies which are happening globally itself. You might have seen this at airports where people are conducting research. They approach you with a tablet to ask you about your recent travel history or your experience visiting a specific country itself as well. That's generally used using tablet applications like Question Pro. Now, let's say you've distributed the survey, you've collected the data, and you'd like to analyze how that data looks like. Right? So let's take a look at how the reporting and the dashboards look like. Let me pull up a survey where I have some data collected in it. So here's the dashboard report. Here we can go ahead and visualize the data in different forms of charts and analytics. So over here we've got a question and its representation in forms of charts can be seen in this section. So for every single question, you can actually have a visualization on your dashboard. It can be into heat maps, spider charts, or a specific bar graph as well. So you can pick and choose different type of graphs for visualizations on the dashboard. Now all these reports are basically designed based on the questions that you have on your survey, right? So you can go ahead and have a dashboard view in this sense, and you can even do further reporting analytics over here. Like if you'd like to see data filters, you can filter out the reports based on the specific trends over here. Like you can add a criteria and filter out data based on any specific question, any predefined custom field that you're using along with the data that you're sending out, or any of these other functions as well. So for example, let's say I'd like to filter out this data based on a specific data type, add a group, and you can see filtered responses on the dashboard for that segment. You can even do a lot more in cross-tabulation, correlation analysis over here if you'd like to cross-tabulate responses in this section. So all that can be done in this section as well. We've also got text analytics techniques over here. So if you'd like to understand word clouds or open-ended feedback, you can go ahead and visualize that on dashboards as well. Furthermore, you can even do content analysis or MaxDiff for consumer behavioral research. So you can actually check that out in this section. And you can even export all of these reports into different forms of reports. So this is the raw data report, charts and analytics, SPSS, or even an SQL file as well. So you can go ahead and use any of these techniques to export automated reports in this section. Now, along with this, Question Pro has a business intelligence tool that can be used for reporting and analytics. It allows you to visualize and create impactful insights from the data that you've collected. And what does this do? Is like if you've got different type of surveys already created in your account, you can go ahead and build out a dashboard from all the surveys that you have, and then share that with any of the colleagues that you'd like to collaborate with on the report. Let me just open up a dashboard here real quick. There we go. So here you can see that we've built out a dashboard over here using different questions on our survey. Now, any of these can be then used for further segmentation and techniques, like you can use, data filters, or you can even use data slicers here to slice and dice the data based on each of these elements that you want to, use to visualize the reports. Now, this dashboard can be easily built out, right? One of the things that we've done over here is, like, you can go ahead, create a new dashboard, click on a blank dashboard over here, click on continue, and start building your dashboard of your report as well. So here you can click on either question based or a widget, advanced widget as well. And you can choose any survey that you've already collected data on from your Question Pro account, right? So let's say we want to use a survey, and let's say we want to use this question type. You can then choose how you'd like to, position the widget. Let's say semicircle, for example, or image bar graph. And you click on add widget, and you have that added on your dashboard canvas. And then you can start building on the dashboard in this way. And you can use various techniques. So let's say I want to use another question. This is an open-ended question. So let's say I want to use a word cloud report. Okay, this is test data. Let me add something else. Let's say you want to use this, a matrix stack bar. I can create a widget like this, share this here, and then this is a clickable dashboard that I can go ahead and build on. Similarly, we've also got advanced widgets. So let's say if you want to use a comparative bar chart and you would like to compare data from two surveys, you can go ahead and do that here. So let's say I select this question, and then I'd like to bring in data from another survey. I can go into settings, bar management, and add a bar, and then bring in data from any other survey as well, and compare that with a specific question. And it can be any other question. So let's say I select this one. And I get a comparative bar chart over here. Now this can be easily edited in the segment. You can position this on the dashboard and build this out. Now all these dashboards can be filtered. It can be shared through a link as well. So you can enable dashboard sharing, show insights, for example, allow comments, and enable dynamic filters. So this is the link. I can simply go ahead and post this link in the chat for you all to, go ahead and experience. So that's something you can easily do, and share dashboards with public respondents, responses over here as well. And they'll be able to see that, click on it, engage with it as well. And you can go ahead and see, different comments over here, or an AI visual over here as well. So it will tell you a specific insight from this chart in this segment. So that's what you can do with these dashboards, and you can build that out. You can add your own branding, your logo, and under dashboard settings, you can even choose design colors. So if you'd like to use a professional palette that is aligned to your brand guidelines, you can go ahead and do that as well. For example, like this. Now you can go ahead, change the colors, add the logos, and do much more and represent your data on form of a report. Now what else can we do? Now here you can see that we've only looked at data coming in from a survey. Let's say if I want to build a dashboard from any secondary data that I've collected as well, I can go ahead and map survey data over here as well. One moment. Let's go at variables. And here I can go ahead and map external data to a survey. I can even import a new data set. So if I want to map data, and I can choose the survey that I'd like to map it with, and just have a spreadsheet imported into Question Pro BI. And that then gives me an option to go back to the dashboard that I just created. And let's say if I click on Add Widget, I can choose question-based widget and choose data coming in from the external data set. So this is the data sets I've created. You can choose that and create that over here as well. So the data that you visualize on dashboard does not necessarily have to be primary data that's coming from the survey. It can be secondary data as well, which can be associated to reports, right? And that's how you can build out, beautiful dashboards in this section. Now you can do a lot more with text AI as well. So if you have got open-ended questions on your survey, if you would like to analyze them, you can build out a dashboard with text AI. Here is an example. I have this question that says, what changes would you like to make to this course to make it more valuable for your future students? And here I have an overall sentiment score categorized over here for each of these responses. And in this section, you will see all of them categorized in terms of different topics and themes. I can then even do a further breakdown of each of these responses and calculate and look at overall topics being distributed across over here for each positive, neutral, and negative sentiments. So this is the power of text AI. It helps you analyze data using AI into sentiments over here in this section. Now, if you want to export these reports, you can even export these data files into CSV or SPSS as well. So you can go ahead, create a data set, build out a dashboard, and then use that to be exported into different forms. If you'd like to download this report into a PDF, you can simply click on download PDF here, and you'll have a beautiful report created for you to share with colleagues and friends. Under settings, you also have options to use data slicers, right? So you can create a data slicer here and create a filtered segment over here for any specific survey that you've used to source your data for on your dashboard. I'm just going to take a pause over here to see if you have any specific questions. How easily can data be integrated into SPSS or any other statistical package? Yeah, it's very easy. You can actually seamlessly go ahead, click on export, download the SPSS file, and integrate this data into SPSS or any other statistical package. I think that kind of gives you all an idea of what Question Pro is capable of and essentially what it does. Right? It's basically used for collecting data. It can be used for analyzing it, and then obviously creating visual dashboards and reporting in the back for making meaningful insights from the data that you've collected.
I do have a question. I wanted to find out. It does look like mostly this software can only be used for collecting quantitative data. Can it be used for qualitative data, kind of like open questions that people can just respond there in the box?
Great question. So yes, it can be. It's actually used for both qualitative and quantitative research. So any survey that you design in your Question Pro account can have open-ended questions as well, and that can be used for collecting any open-ended data. So for example, towards the end, I'm going to add a question. I can use the comment box as single row text. So these questions can be designed with any specific open-ended question type.
Yeah.
For example, like this, right? And then respondents can go ahead and share their thoughts. And this qualitative data can then also be analyzed using text AI, as we saw, into different topics, themes, and it helps you get a visual approach of, overall sentiment scores as well.
Can you then export this to, like the other data you can export to SPSS? Are you able to export this to maybe Max QDA or any of the other qualitative data analysis softwares?
Yes, 100%. So you can actually export data into different forms. If I go to analytics here, we have an option over here to generate a data pad. Let me show you that real quick. So here we have an option to export data into Microsoft Excel or CSV, right? That can be used as a data set to import into any other system, or you can use an SPSS file in this section. Question Pro also has something called as Datapad. There you go. You can create a data set over here and use a public URL that can be embedded into any SPSS or any other statistical software like Q, MaxQDA, any other system that you'd like to use. That can be done.
Okay. Professor Gupta, your hand is up. You have a question.
Yeah, thank you. Harshad, I have very quick question here. One, there are two questions. One is the Question Pro free to access for anyone and everyone, or is it a commercial product? We use the Google Form or many other products. Even many commercial products do provide survey collection up to, let's say, 100 responses or 200 responses or 20 questions and something like that. Fun. And second, I'm sure because you have this product, you may have done the survey or market research of other products. So, for example, the Survey Gizmo is one product which I have used, and you see the difference between the Google Form and Survey Gizmo. The Google Form is free of cost, but the Survey Gizmo is paid. Now the difference is that in Google Form, if I have 10 questions each with the 5 options, the survey form becomes so long. It just goes on and on and on, very long. But if I have same, let's say 20 questions with 5 options, and if I use Survey Gizmo, the options 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 comes in a horizontal line, and the entire survey becomes really very compact. And while we are actually getting a survey done, uh, we are playing with the psychology of the respondents, because respondents might not respond if the survey appears to be too long.
Yeah.
So if you can help us with this product, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So great question. So just to answer your first part, right? Like in general, the Question Pro is a commercial product, but it's used for academic research by universities. It's licensed by universities. Like for example, University of Bath uses Question Pro as an institutional research platform, and everyone within the university can go ahead and use Question Pro for data collection. It is definitely a bit more advanced than other tools like Survey Gizmo, and you're talking about Google Forms, because it does give you a capability to make surveys smarter. You can add logic and survey flows. You can even randomize experiments in Question Pro. You can even do different type of visualization techniques on reporting as well, right? So those are in terms of other platforms out there, it's a bit more sophisticated and designed for academic research itself. And then one of the key things that's really out there about Question Pro is that it's easy to use. Like in general, if you might have seen the product right now, anyone who's probably not used a survey platform forever can just log into Question Pro and use that by minimal training. I would say someone can just go ahead and experience it themselves and start something from scratch and get things moving forward. So that's kind of the key difference. And then just talking about universities, like even Birmingham City University has a license with Question Pro, that you might have already known, that has got many users from different research departments. Like the psychology department uses it for experimental design studies, where you can have advanced question types, programmed timers, and psychological based questions that can be used for
Great.
analysis.
Harshad, just one submission that you can make it actually for faculty members and doctoral scholars free. Why? I'm telling you, it's in your favor, because those are the people going to become the professors and promoting it for master's students in their universities. So if you do that, it helps you and us as well. Just a thought.
100%. Yeah, so we do have the free license available on our website. That's why we kind of publish it onto the segment. Anyone can go and sign up for a free license with Question Pro and use all the advanced analytical tools. But again, to the research community that has signed up today, if anyone needs access to Question Pro and for conducting research, please do reach out to edu@questionpro.com. I'm going to just put this email address in the chat, and you can request for a license for Question Pro, and I'll be happy to grant it to all of the research students who are using it for academic research.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
So nice of you.
Thank you so much. So let me quickly introduce Professor Gupta. He's a professor of operations and supply chain analytics. He's resident in Birmingham City University, and he's in the Faculty of Operations Management at the Management Development and the Management Development Institute in India. He has 5 years of rich corporate experience of people management, driving multiple strategic sourcing initiatives at Maersk Shipping and Global e-Procures Consulting. He has traveled to countries including USA, Denmark, China, UAE, Singapore, and so many others for teaching, training, consulting, and conference presentations. We're happy to have Professor Gupta here today to share with us how to analyze data, quantitative data. Professor Gupta?
Thank you so much. So nice of you for having this introduction, and you have raised a lot of expectations, but I would try to bring in some value for the participants. I understand that I would have about 1 hour or so.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so I would plan my session accordingly. Let me quickly share that when we do the survey on the Likert scale or perception survey, or on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 7, we collect these data from the different survey platforms. After having the data downloaded from those systems, I am starting from there. Let me share my screen. Here I go. This is one sample data, I would say. Of course, it is a data from one of my projects where I have disguised the names and titles and even some part of the data. But this data will be able to give us a lot of valuable analysis and analytics information. You see, when we collect this kind of data, I would just quickly explain what this data is about. Here, this data is collected for several countries. Let's say, for example, 6 countries, country A, B, C, D, E, and where we collected the total experience of the respondents from different organizations. And here is the total experience of the participants is available. Then total experience in manufacturing organizations, how much experience do they have in manufacturing organization, is also over here. Then what is the firm size in terms of number of employees is listed here. Then what is the industry type? There were 12 to 13 industry types, 14 industry types, and we have the names of all those sectors which we have coded as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then there are other variables which are the variables under investigation. For example, the digitalization score. Now this score has been collected on a particular scale, like scale 1 to 40, and where different organizations have rated themselves or on different questions, but an aggregate of that is the digitalization score. Then we have the financial performance. When we download the data, sometimes we find them in the form of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on a scale of 7, or sometimes we have them in the form of this text. It depends on the softwares, that the way we have designed the survey. I have brought this raw data for you so that we can even convert this data and then run some analysis. This is the environmental performance. This is the social performance. Generally, very common in most of the research that people do measure the financial performance, environmental performance, and social performance, also known as triple bottom line, right? And then this is one construct. In social sciences, scholars do understand what do we mean by the construct and their items. So a construct change ecosystem in the organization, and having 4 different items of that, 4 different items on response of the respondents on these 4 questions. Similarly, environmental effort by the organization and 4 items of this construct and their responses. So we can see here that in total we have, let's say, 382 respondents, Whenever we download the data, I think the first thing that we should probably do, in my view, is to create one more column and generate an ID, or maybe alphanumeric ID of respondents, that like R0001, R0002. With this, it gives us a flexibility that even if we operate on the data and do whatever, it gives us a key to come back and sort the data and stay on the data. Second thing, generally, I would also do is that to maintain a mapping. For example, like this, when we have a scale, so these kind of scale and their coding, I would quickly convert this raw data into a data which is doable for analysis, which can be imported into the softwares, right? So for example, if I have to convert this data in the numeric 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, one of the ways to quickly filter agree as 3 or 4, whatever. Another way is to use Control F, and I'm going to do that here. Let's say, for example, strongly disagree is 1. So I will take this and go and do a Control F Alt P and paste here with the strongly disagree as 1. Remember, always when we do this kind of operation, it's a good idea to match case and match entire cell content. Some of you might have understood why. If not, then try doing that and you will understand the mistake you might be doing, right? I'm just going to replace. You see 136 replacements have happened, and wherever you see that this text was, it is already done. I would not be doing it for all. Let's say I'm going to do it for strongly agree. Same thing, Control F, Control V, Alt P with 7. Match case, match entire cell content. I may be going a bit fast in the interest of time, but since the session is being recorded, I'm going fast. If you have any questions on the way, please ask, and I'll be very happy to answer them. Look, 240 replacements have happened. So we can see that 1 and 7 are converted, rest are not. But I already have a data file which is here, where I already have converted all of them, right? And this is how then we can use this data to readily import into SPSS or Smart PLS or Stata or wherever you want to use this data for. Any quick question at this moment? Any quick question, anyone? I have gone a little fast, but I'm happy to take up any question at this moment. Yeah, like downloading the data and preparing the data for importing into the software. Okay, great. As I don't see the questions at this moment, and I will be sharing my email ID later, as well as you can post your questions in the chat, which remains in the Teams with your email ID, and I will revert to those questions even after the session. Having said that, when we have this data, look, I have already opened SPSS. I hope everyone is able to see my window and SPSS. I click new data, double click this, it opens an SPSS file. It is possible that most organizations, most universities do have the SPSS but not Smart PLS, and therefore I'm doing this analysis in SPSS, as well as I will show some bit of it in MS Excel as well. Let's say if I click File menu and click Import the Excel file, yeah, I am into the folder where my file is saved. This is the file. I click Open. I think, could you please mute? Could you please mute? Unless you have got any question. Thank you. Now, raw data is not the file sheet I have to import. It's the data sheet that I have to import. I take that data sheet and click OK. Once the data is imported, let's wait, and you see the data is imported here. Very quickly, just for your understanding, you see this is a data view. Here is a variable view. In the variable view, while as I told you that financial performance is measured on a scale of 1 to 7, environmental performance is measured on a scale of 1 to 7, and so on, I can actually get into variables view, and you see here is a financial performance. If I go and in the values, presently it is none. If I click, it allows me to add the values and labels. For example, if I say 1 and like to add here strongly disagree and click OK, you see what happens over here. Financial performance One is added as strongly disagree. There is a button 1 and A. If I click this, it would start showing the labels. Now this is a smart way of maintaining the SPSS file, that you have labels as well as the numerics in the same way, in same window. And I can just keep on adding all over here. I wouldn't be doing that because that will take time. But for example, 7 is over here strongly agree. Okay, if I go there and click this, you see even the 7s would show strongly agree and strongly disagree. The third thing that you could probably do is that copy this from here and paste in the other cells so that the scale is being copied, labels are copied. If I click this, you see everywhere in three columns I copied. In all the 3 columns, it shows the labels. This is a good way to have readability of the labels as well as maintaining the numeric data for the analysis. Having said that, any questions? Or else may kindly mute your mics, please. I go to analysis, and there's a lot of analysis that could be done in SPSS. For example, the descriptive statistics is one tab where one could go into frequencies and descriptives. Let's say, for example, if I go to descriptives, you could do pretty well all of this analysis, descriptives, even in an Excel file. And let's say if I have taken 3 variables, I would have taken actually all variables also, but just for the ease, I'm taking 3 variables. And you could take sum, standard error, kurtosis, skewness. Generally, the skewness is one very important variable one would like to know. We are interested in the skewness to be 0, because if it is away from 0, then the variable is not normally distributed in general. Also, one more interesting thing that you may like to note, that if you check this button, standardized values, the moment you do that, it will create 3 more columns and give you the z-score of all these 3. I'm just doing this so that I can show you. I click OK, and you see the entire summary is available. All this summary you could get even in Excel. There is a feature known as Data Analysis Tool Pack. Now it's an open world on AI and YouTube. Everything is available. If you listen to this session again and take up only the keywords, you will be able to find all the help that you need. That in Excel, how to install the data analysis tool pack, how to run the descriptive statistics analysis in Excel. So sometimes even if you don't have an access to SPSS or Smart PLS or any other software, you could really do all this analysis even there in MS Excel, right? Having said that, let's say if I go to analysis and I want to run a correlation analysis, I can actually click bivariate correlation over here. And let's say if I take 3 variables and then also take financial performance and digitalization index and take them in over here, you could further get in case your data is missing, you want to fill them with mean and standard deviation or exclude those variables. All those things are possible. I would encourage you to click all the different tabs, buttons, and explore them. Clicking those buttons will not harm you anything, but will definitely enhance your knowledge. And ask questions. Anything that you have a doubt and any question that comes to your mind, start asking to ChatGPT, and your friend is there. Click OK, and you see here is a correlation, and now we can see how they are correlated. For example, total experience is correlated with total manufacturing experience as 0.82. Naturally, if someone has more experience, it is expected that they might have actually entirely that experience into manufacturing or partly. And we can see that the firm size is not correlated, firm performance is not correlated, digitalization index is correlated to some extent. We can see that digitalization index is correlated to firm size, to financial performance. So this is how one can analyze the correlations and start making interpretation. Usually in scholarly research, the hypotheses are tested based on the beta and their significance, but in master's thesis as well as even sometimes in PhD thesis, some people might like to test some of the correlation based hypothesis. And correlations, when calculated in Excel, it does not give you the significance value like at to the bottom two tail 1% or 5%, but in SPSS it provides you, and you can do testing of correlation hypothesis also over here. When I go to analysis, one very important aspect of using SPSS versus Smart PLS is that in general, whenever you are doing a survey, we usually prefer to have our scales and measures. What we call as scales and measures are the questions of the constructs well adapted from the established literature. If they are not adapted from the literature, we have to essentially run a pilot survey and do an exploratory factor analysis, which is done in SPSS, and confirmatory factor analysis on the full data is done into Smart PLS or Stata, or there are so many other softwares available for that matter. Even if you have your scales adapted from established literature, it is recommended to do a pilot and do an EFA. And how the EFA is done is what I'm going to explain to you over here. You click analysis, go to dimension reduction and factor analysis over here. Take the independent variables scores. Take the independent variables, you see the change effort 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the environmental variable efforts 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm taking all of them. You have a lot of buttons in the beginning. You don't have to, but if you want to click, check KMO, check the univariate descriptives. You might like to see also covariance matrix. You may see that there are so many extraction methods are given. In different situations, different methods are being used. When we do the single factor Herman test, we use principal axis factoring. When we are doing exploratory analysis, we do principal component analysis. Usually it's a good idea to click scree plot, which is actually a reverse Pareto or inverse Pareto. Sometimes your matrices may not converge, then next time you might like to increase this iteration from 25 to 50 or 100, but I'm keeping 25 at this moment. Continue, and then rotation is the most important part, where if you see that the first three, Quatrimax, Varimax and Equimax, are known as orthogonal rotations, and the direct oblimin and Promax are known as oblique rotations. Now what they are, listen to this recording again and check on ChatGPT what do we mean by oblique rotations and orthogonal rotations. Generally the orthogonal rotations are commonly used when the factors are going to emerge, anticipated factors are not correlated, and when the factors are correlated we use the direct oblimin and Promax. How to check that if the factors are correlated or not? Just pick up one of these and click OK, and again click OK, and you will see that there is a component correlation matrix over here, and you will be able to see that if in this matrix, leaving aside the diagonals, if all the values are less than 0.3 or even 0.4, you can go for orthogonal rotations, otherwise you should go with oblique. So because we see this less than 0.3, we will go with orthogonal, and we will first select rotation as the Varimax, which is appropriate for statistical significance. You can actually save the factor scores. Factor scores are nothing but sum of the item score or the weighted sum of item scores with their weights as the loadings. There are options. If you don't click them, then there's going to be an entirely messed up matrix that will appear, and therefore maybe I might actually just not do these in the first go, but I will do it in the second go to show you how does that look like. You see, while there are so much output tabs, but the most important is the rotated component matrix. Now having seen this, at this moment it looks so full, but actually it's not. It's a very clean matrix. Let me just go back to my analysis and show you why I say that it is very clean. Dimension reduction, factors and options, I will say sort and suppress the loading at, let's say, 0.4. All that I'm speaking in this 1 hour should actually be taught with concepts and depth in about 30 hours. But that's the limitation. At the same time, it's an open world, so you have the help available on YouTube and ChatGPT and other AIs, and go and explore. You see the same rotated component matrix was actually the here full with numbers. Now it's very clean. You could see that environmental efforts are all clubbed together as one factor, and change efforts have gone into the second factor. In Excel, if you have to determine the score of environmental factor overall, to do that is to take a sum or average of all these 4 columns, and you get an environmental efforts or the construct score. Similarly, taking a sum of all these 4 items or average of all these 4 items in Excel will give you the overall score of that construct, and that's where you could run the regression, correlation, descriptive, whatever that you want to. So this is basically the dimension reduction analysis. Of course, there's a lot like regression. You could see how to run regression analysis, linear regression. If your dependent variable is a continuous variable, you might like to run the multinomial binary and all those kind of. If your dependent variables are categorical variable, probit, right? A lot of other the binary logistics when your variable is binary 0 1 or only 2 categories are there. So this is all, there's a lot of knowledge in this. Just pick up each keyword one by one, go to ChatGPT, start exploring, will help you a lot. One thing that you may like to do when you are doing a pilot survey, once you receive the pilot data of 60 to 80 responses, you may like to check the reliability of each construct one by one before rolling out your survey full. Remember that garbage in, garbage out is a rule. If you roll out your survey without all the due diligence and checkpoints into the survey, you are basically going to end up collecting a garbage data, and hence the output is also going to be a garbage. In order to avoid that situation, what you should be doing is to take the one construct over here. You can also have a lot of statistics. I don't need that at this moment. And I click only one thing, which is scale if item deleted. I don't need correlations and all other things. In case you need that, you can always click that. And I click OK. You see what I get here, the reliability coefficient 0.744. Reliability coefficient is nothing but internal consistency of the items and the scale. That means all items of this construct are correlated with each other and they belong to this group. Ideal value for Cronbach alpha is between 0.7 to 0.9. Now what is this matrix below? What it says that if you delete first item and rerun the reliability analysis considering the later 3, then your reliability coefficient will be 0.73. Presently we have already 0.744. There is no need to delete any item, but many times we end up in a situation that there are items, our Cronbach alpha is coming, let's say less than 0.7. In that case, you might have to identify the item that you want to delete, which will improve your alpha value, and this is how we do that, right? Let me just quickly also check the alpha for my other items, other constructs. For example, the next one, and please do not hesitate asking any question. I will be happy to answer on the way. 0.925, and we can see that there is no way we can improve this further. We don't have to actually improve this. Rather, you might even like to drop at item 1 or probably item 1 so that it comes in less than 0.9. It's okay sometimes even if it is slightly more than 0.9, right? It should not be 1. The idea is that if it is 1, then actually all items are bringing the same information, nothing new is coming. If you go to the Analyze tab, I go to Scale, Reliability, remove these 3 and include the financial, environmental and social performance, because this is going to make our overall performance. You see here again it has got an reliability of 0.803 with 371 as a data points, 10 excluded probably because they were missing, and if I delete any of the item, then this is going to be the reliability. While you could see that alpha value can be improved over here by dropping the social performance, but there is a tacit rule that each construct must have at least 3 items. So I would not surely drop any items over here. Ideally, one should not drop more than 10 or 15% items of a construct, because more and more items you have in the construct will define your construct more strongly, and hence it's a trade-off between a strong reliability versus strong definition of the construct. I think these are the things that you may like to explore. One last thing as a matter of SPSS is that you also have here compute variables. In case you like to compute the variables, you can, for example, I'll just quickly show you. I want to calculate performance variable. How do I do that? I will take financial performance plus environmental performance plus social performance and divide by 3, and I get actually a score which is overall score of the performance. You see, remember when I did the descriptive statistics, I did check that button that standardized my 3 variables, and it has given me the z-score of those 3 variables, as well as now I calculated an overall performance variable. So here is an overall performance variable score also. Same way I can calculate the score for environment, I can calculate the score for change, and I don't have to calculate digitalization score because it is already on a different scale and not a Likert scale, right? I take a pause here to take up any questions, because post this after a few minutes I like to quickly take up the smart PLS demo with this data, and we will run this model as a regression or structural equation modeling. Any questions?
Does it mean a researcher can report research findings in qualitative research in numeric value or data?
Absolutely, you can. It's a very good question, by the way. This is a big dollar. It's a very deep question and a very $1,000,000 question. It might take one entire session to address this, but very briefly I will address that. See, quantitative research is very what version of SPSS are you using? I don't know. I have to check that. Whatever is there, the latest with my university is what I'm using. But let me share that quantitative research is done when you already know a lot about an area and you have defined constructs and you are actually testing a theory and checking the relationship between the constructs and so on. And quantitative research also gives you a means to check quickly, the correlations, hypothesis testing, the results are supported, not supported. But in qualitative, it becomes really a challenge for a scholar to decide if the hypothesis is supported, not supported, what's happening, what not, how to quantify. And that is where a lot of new methods are emerging nowadays. I have published as well as learned a very interesting method known as FSQCA, fuzzy set qualitative comparative analysis, which a researcher can convert all their themes which are emerging out of the qualitative data into numerics on a scale of 1 to 4 or 5 and run the FSQC analysis, which is a case-based subject matter expert analysis. And it is about the combinatorial optimization, or finding which combinations are leading to success and which combinations are leading to failure and how many of them. While the idea is actually same as we do in statistical significance and regression or quantitative methods, they are same, but it's a good idea. I am a hardcore quants scholar, so I prefer to convert everything into quants. I am trying to learn the qualitative analysis also. I personally believe qualitative analysis is far more deeper, more interesting, and more credible, because in quantitative analysis we don't know the respondents who are filling this survey, where the survey is coming from. The Likert scale has implicit error, because 1 2 3 4 5, there is no 4.5, so one would end up saying only 4 or 5. But in qualitative you actually capture a lot of things. So I completely agree and do give a consent that researcher may convert qualitative data into quantitative data and explore the ways to use them. But when you want to use the qualitative converted into quantitative, it is difficult to use SPSS or these kind of tools, because they need large sample sizes, and interviews are generally 25, 30, 40. So FSQC allows you to use with a small sample size also. Generally the use of FSQC is like having as many number of constructs multiplied by 3 or 4 respondents is good to go for FSQCA. Right? Does that answer your question? Any more questions, please? Any more questions? Feel free, please. Okay, great. So thanks. I would use my another half an hour or so showing you how one can do the confirmatory factor analysis or collecting full data from the survey after having tweaked the survey for any problems that you came across into the pilot data analysis and exploratory analysis in SPSS. Uh, One should really fix and design a thorough, robust survey instrument before rolling out. Otherwise, you will end up collecting wrong data and then, therefore, the wrong analysis. Having said that, let me first close my Excel file because I have to import this Excel file into Smart PLS. I save this. Here is a software. I'm saying this as a remind me later. It is asking me to update. I have created one model, but maybe for your help and understanding, I'm just creating another new project for training. And let's say training today is the name. Create. In this training today, I'm going to import the data file. I click import. Hopefully it might reach to the same place where I want to import the data. Otherwise, go to that folder. I click training data, click OK. It will ask me that which data file do you want to. I don't want to import the raw data file. I want to import the actual data file, the data file which I have the data prepared. And then I say here as this data or data 1 or whatever, right? I click OK. It has imported the data. It is showing me that what are the variables, what are their serial numbers, their extension, missing values, in which each column how many values are missing, what's their mean, median, scale, minimum, maximum, observed minimum, observed maximum, standard deviation, kurtosis, skewness, and some p-value as well over there. We don't need at this moment, but in case you want to generate some groups, you can generate groups, add groups. That is also another very interesting feature to compare the groups into Smart PLS. A Smart PLS is not a free software. It gives you 30 days free license to learn, but after that you have to purchase in case you like to use that. Some universities do have. It's not very expensive but very user friendly. I found it very user friendly. I'm going to create a model over here. Let's say the models that you can create are PLS SEM, partial least square structural equation modeling softwares models, or regression, a process macro Andrew Hayes model, or covariance based structural equation model, and GSCA, right? I am going to go with PLS SEM at this moment, and I will give you this as a model M1. Save. You see it has opened a new window where presently it is 100%. I am going to create, you see how fast we can really do this. Let's take the financial performance, environmental performance, and social performance, 3 items as a single construct, and I give this name as performance here. And then I'm going to take it as let's say the change change ecosystem or change management ecosystem as another construct. I take this here and right click, align its indicator to the top. Now I'm left with very limited space, but let's see if we can do something about it. This is environmental effort. I click this, and here is, let's say, this one. Placement is also equally important. And then digitalization index. Here is a digitalization index. I can, wrap text, click OK. Here we go. Now I need more space, so I would reduce this, increase the size of the window and say that align it to the bottom. Go here, take this one over here. Now you have to click connect. I connect to the change ecosystem to performance, environmental ecosystem to performance, digitalization to performance. The model is ready. You see it took almost no time, and I can save this model, run PLS SEM algorithm. When you run the PLS algorithm, I just click OK, start, and analysis is done. What analysis we should really look at? You should look at that what is the R square value. We can see that R square value or adjusted R square is 14.2%, not very high, but in social sciences, doctoral scholar research, we are only looking for directions, so p value is more important than just the R square. This R square can be increased by including more and more control variables. You see the construct reliability and validity. We can clearly see here that the Cronbach alpha is more than 0.7. We can also see that average variance extracted is above 0.49, which is the required threshold. Composite reliability is also above 0.7, and they are good. We can also see the discriminant validity, very important. We should see the Fornell-Lechner criteria, and when we look at this, the idea to look at this matrix is that the diagonal value of any row or any column should be more than its respective row and column. So 0.750 is more than its column, 0.903 is more than its row and column, and 0.846 is more than its row and column. That confirms the discriminant validity as well as convergent validity. Listen to this recording again, read about all these terms that I'm speaking on YouTube and ChatGPT, and you'll get a lot of clarity, a lot of idea. What is variance inflation factor, VIF? You see the green ones are green because they are within the threshold of 3. The black ones are black because they are acceptable and within the threshold of 5. Anything which is going to be more than 5 will appear here as red, and there is a published literature which says that the VIF value should be less than 3 as far as possible, or otherwise less than 5. Sometimes even less than 10 is okay. The variance inflation factor is about the indicator of multicollinearity. More important for us is the inner model, and we would like to have the inner model VIF should be less than 3 as far as possible, because we want factors independence. We want our factors to be independent. The model fit is also sometimes seen. For example, what is the square root mean, standard root mean square, residual or error? Generally the threshold is above 0.1, and this is much less than 0.1, and so on. The NFI and all are usually seen in the covariance based structural equation modeling in AMOS, but here also you may like to see generally the 0.8, 0.85, 0.9 are acceptable numbers. Having said that, this is enough. While we have to come back here, you can also see outer loadings. You see the loadings of every construct that we saw also in our SPSS. They are pretty much visible here. Let's go back. We'll come back to this. There is one very important part which is left here is known as the slope analysis. At this moment, the slope analysis is not visible because we are not doing any moderating effect or interaction effects. I'm going to run the bootstrap. Bootstrap is a very interesting method where we can run the bias corrected bootstrap or standardized or percentile, all that, and 5000 bootstrap is a standard practice. Bootstrap means that if I had a 400 sample size, the system will take 5000 times sample from that 400 and run this algorithm again and again and calculate the estimates 5000 times. And for every estimate, then it will give me the average value, which is a bootstrap value, and that ensures that we don't need the normality assumption, and it's a non-parametric testing. Yeah, I did run. When I click start, you see it has given me within seconds the results. I can just quickly go to the path coefficients and see here what are the significance or statistical significance of my coefficients. Let's see what is coming here. Window is, there are some issues with sometimes softwares. We can of course reduce this here. I hope, yeah, it works. You see, when we say that the change ecosystem to performance is very, very significant at 000, and the coefficient is 0.273 original, bootstrap is 0.281. So 0.281 is more credible with standard error of 0.048. And environmental efforts by the organization to performance is also very significant, right? 0.179 is the beta coefficient with a standard error which is 0.054, right? We can see that 0.054 is almost 1/4 or 1/3 of this, and 0.048 is roughly 1/6 of the mean. So roughly 10 to 15% or 20% is the error, which is acceptable in these kind of analysis, and that is why these results are coming significant. When we look at digitalization index leading to performance, triple bottom line performance, right? One can always do a dive deeper with taking performance, only social performance or environmental performance or only economic performance, and rerun this analysis and then check what is happening to individual performances also. But we can see here that for the triple bottom line overall performance, digitalization index is leading to some extent strongly positive because the p value is less than 10%. We can in some situations say it is significant. Largely we take 5% significance, then it is not significant, right? And this sometimes you have to really argue in your context, should you be taking it significant or not. You can't refute it. If even if you are saying that it is not significant and not supported, discuss in your research papers and leave this as a future scope of research. Don't just close as binary that it is not significant. That's not a good idea. Yeah, rest all not required in this one. There are a lot of things. It talks about reliability and all those things as well, even over here, right? We don't need that. Very quickly I will go, and you see it also gives you confidence intervals for all the numbers at 2.5% and 97.5%, because 5% means 2.5% each side. So all the beta values and their lower limit and upper limit, many times scholars would like to also report these limits, right? And whenever the zero is between that limit, we say significant. When zero is between the limit, we say it is not significant. When zero is not part of this, we say it is significant, because our hypothesis is that H0 standardized beta coefficient is 0. Right? All this require a lot of study and a lot of time to explain. In this session I have limited time, but if you pick up the keywords and search on AI as well as YouTube, you will definitely find the meaning out of it. The next thing that very quickly I like to show is that, let's say if I moderate these relationship by the change management ecosystem in the organization, what we are saying is that is the environmental performance, is the environmental effort leading to performance relationship any different in the organizations where the change management ecosystem is higher than lower, or better than worse? Same way, is the digitalization converting to performance relationship which was not significant, we saw, different in the organizations where the change ecosystem is better? Let's run this model and see if we have any difference in this model. Moderators or interacting variables are generally known as catalysts. In their presence and absence, the relationship changes behavior. You see, if we notice here, let me just widen this. Okay, look, the change ecosystem multiplied by environmental effort is significant, and environmental performance, where do we have digitalization index? Did it not show the digitalization into environmental? Maybe probably the moderating effect did not come. Okay, let me just connect this one also over here. Oh, I actually made a mediator. Sorry, I should have made the moderation. So I just remove this and connect this as a mediator over here, right? Now I have the two mediators, you see. Let me run this model again. Moderator, sorry. I have two moderators. Let me run this model again. Two moderating effects with one moderator. So you see my moderator is change eco. My change, the moderator is change eco system. And what is the significance? Let me bring them all in single window. Okay, interesting. The change ecosystem multiplied by digitalization index is also showing very strong performance and significance. How do I interpret these results? I have to make an interpretation of these results, and that's where I have to check the slope analysis. Let me just go back. I will run PLS again, and you will see the slope analysis over here. Let's look at the change ecosystem. Digitalization index is on x-axis, performance is on y-axis, and we can see that whenever the change ecosystem in the organization is low at -1 sigma level, the effect of digitalization on performance is negative. While if the change ecosystem is moderate, then the digitalization, as the digitalization index increases, the performance is not increasing that much, but it is positive. While very interestingly, if the organization has a very strong positive change management ecosystem in the organization, at green line you see as the digitalization index increases, the performance significantly increases and it is statistically significant. This is interesting, and this tells us that what is the implication or outcome of this exercise. We propose to the organizations and to academia that the change management and the organizations where the change management is there, change management efforts are there, organizations are investing on change management, top management is taking efforts and attention on change management, the digitalization is showing performance in implications positive, otherwise it is not, and hence organizations should do that. Same we look at the other graph. Here we see that when the change management in the organization is low, the rate of growth of performance with the increase of environmental effort is low. Vis-a-vis when the change efforts in the organization, change management in the organization is more, the environmental efforts on the x-axis when increases, the performance significantly increases. See the green line. This is how we make an interpretation and conclude and provide insights into our research papers, right? So these are the models. Incidentally, I made the mediation also. You can also make a mediation that is the environmental effort. Maybe, let me just show you going back and creating a duplicate model over here, M2. And in M2 model, I will just remove the moderating effects, but make a connection from environmental effort to change management and digitalization effort to change management and see if I get really some interesting results. You see here specific indirect effects. I notice that digitalization to change management to performance is not significant, but environmental effort to change management to performance is actually significant. Yeah, that means environmental efforts, if done, they also support change management. Maybe you might like to test opposite. If the change management efforts are done, are they leading to digitalization? Are they leading to environmental performance? And if that is leading to performance, these are sometimes kind of experiments. While the ideal research is that you may develop a conceptual model and then run these models. But while we are into training and we are learning, we might like to sometimes do some experiments and see that what relationships are coming significant and build a story and build arguments around that. You see here, when I look at change management is leading to environmental effort to performance is significant, but the change leading to digitalization to performance is not significant. So this is how you start making interpretations of the results. Well, I think I will stop here and I will be happy to take up any questions. I tried going with clarity, but gone very fast, I know, in the amount of time available. Tried covering also actually a lot of things, to be honest. Collecting data and what should be done, what should not be done, pilot, CFA, EFA, SPSS, Excel analysis. There are two questions I see. Let me answer them. Which software tool is more appropriate for structural equation modeling, MOS or Smart PLS, and why? Well, thanks, Shrikant. Generally, when the sample size of the data is small, Smart PLS is used. When you have sufficient sample sizes, people would like to use MOS. Also, like to ask the same question to AI. I'm sure you will get a lot of pointers further. Probably also when we are testing, we want to build the theory and do very sophisticated, robust work. Implications of the findings are more. We like to use a covariance based approach, MOS. Otherwise, we might like to use correlation based approach, which is Smart PLS. But Smart PLS is very simple. So that's how one can use. And then I see what is the recommended sample size for SEM. In general, whatever I have read, MOS requires at least 100 as a sample size. At least sample size is required as 100. In Smart PLS, you can have even smaller sample sizes. I have not seen any issue out there. I haven't seen any issues out there when you use the Smart PLS, because it does the bootstrap and it is a non-parametric, so it's okay. It's okay to use whatever that you want to, right? There seems to be one more question. What is that? In PLS SEM, both composite score and the score are given, but they are slightly different, right? Yeah, you see, generally they are not going to be very far different. In general, they are very close to your alpha value, and they are actually the measure of internal consistency. So depends, you can take the references of the Hare et al. Or all those journals, and you can report one of the reliability and composite reliability and alpha are read together. They should not be read alone, right? Any more questions? Any more questions? Yeah, any more questions? If you have, go ahead.
I think you may have stunned us into silence, certainly me anyway. That has been really very enlightening, but as you say, such a lot to take in, and a masterclass at pace. I don't know about you, Bridget. My eyes are rolling. Thinking about the possibilities. I'm really been switched on to what you're saying. I think that's been really interesting. Although I probably understand about 5% of it, which is statistically insignificant, but a step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I would request that, you share this recording link with all participants who have attended today, so that, when we listen to, once we listen, be it in a fast mode, they can go in slow mode also to listen, and a lot of keywords are there. And it's an open world now, right? Everything is available on AI and YouTube. So the help is available, answers are available. If they go through this session again, I'm sure it will be valuable.
Okay. Thank you. Any more questions, guys? Okay, I don't think there's more questions, so Prof, you can carry on.
Yeah, I think I'm done as such from my session, because I can go on to any number of hours. So I have explained what I wanted to explain, right? Unless we have any more questions.
All right.
I think just Bridget, I think thinking about the two sessions together, and how they might, how one might feed into the other. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, either of our speakers. In terms of we find technologies helpful in eliminating some of the complexities of the analysis process, in that it helps us to sort of work out some of these things. And you've Professor Gupta, you've explained that a lot today, what can be done. And the bootstrapping, I'm really tied into that bootstrapping. I think that's a great idea, but it's I think the reason we came to this, and Bridget will probably add something here, is because we find lots of our colleagues are qualitative researchers who are trying to become more quantitative savvy and use some of the data that we have in a more quant way to do some sort of parallel analysis. And I think this is where we're moving as a body, to try and be more technically competent really around some of the quantitative data. Anthony, do you want to add thought?
Okay, thank you very much. This is an insightful presentation, and I quite grab a lot of things because it's more in tune with what I'm doing. Just as an addition, I think Faculty of Business and Law in DMU is also trying to organize a similar event, which is solely on smart PLS. I think by the first week in September. So whoever wants to tap into that opportunity to also learn more about quantitative data analysis with smart PLS would also look out for that information. Thank you.
Thanks, Azabi.
And also, we're thinking of maybe having this as a face-to-face workshop sometime in the year. So I'm going to be talking to Professor Gupta. This will not be on campus, Anthony. So maybe some other PGR students can come, download SPSS. DMU has access to SPSS, so they can come in with their laptops and their SPSS downloaded, and we'll have some practical sessions on this. So that will be the next step going forward, because even me, as I'm listening today, my husband sent me a message. He said, "This looks like abracadabra, I don't understand anything." And I said, the more you look, the less you see. So I think having a practical session where we can, like you're doing those demonstrations, we do the same thing, and in that sense, I think that might also work out for the next session. So we might have to plan a session like that, in-person session, with enough time and notice in advance, so that everybody can come with SPSS already downloaded on their laptops, and then we can have this practical session again.
I agree with you. I was in discussion with Dr. Alberto today at the faculty, and the event that is coming up in September, it's going to be in two phases. The first one is going to be online, which we are going to be dealing with the theoretical and the philosophical aspect of the quantitative analysis. Why the second phase, which will be a week after, will be a practical session whereby people come in with their laptop. Prior to the date, the step-by-step guidance of how to download Smart PLS software, the free version, will be sent to people so that people have it already on their laptop, and we can do a hands-on training. I think maybe I would meet you in the course of maybe next week. Then we can discuss with Dr. Egberto better on this and see how we can be able to fathom SPSS and Smart PLS into the same training. I'll find out later in the week.
Thank you. Any more questions? Anyone? So I'd like to, in terms of why we put these two presentations together. So one of the things, and I hope Hashad is still here, there was something that in the demonstration I had of Question Pro, how with the AI embedded in their Question Pro, you don't need to type everything. Like I currently use JISC. With JISC, you either copy and paste your questions, or you type it in, which is really, really lengthy. But with Question Pro, once you type some words, it just gives you what you want. So it just follows up. So it's quite easy to put your question, to build your questionnaire with Question Pro. And because Question Pro helps you to collect data, we talking about how you analyze the data was okay to put the two of them together. And there's some analysis that Question Pro can allow you to do, but I don't think you can go deep dive like SPSS or SEM or other regression and all of those things. I don't think Question Pro can do that, can it? Ashad?
It actually can, to a certain extent, but not as much as what Dr. Naren explained today, at least.
Yes.
When you are going into fundamentals of data, Question Pro is introducing a new technology on Question Pro BI, which is called as BI Stats. It's coming through, where you're probably going to be able to do all the regression, the cronback alphas, and the ANOVAs, MINOVAs on that platform as well. But at this point of time, I think the capabilities that it currently has supports you to run, text AI, so text analysis. We can do, data comparisons, filtration, segmentation techniques to filter out data, and we're also having text summary come through. So, like for example, if you have a dashboard, what we want to do is we want to optimize, dashboards to a story, right? And we spoke about that in yesterday's event, where we want to improve, speed to insights, where we want to have AI to help us tell us a story out of all the data that we've captured. Obviously, we can go into functional elements, deep diving into that on a statistical level, and that's coming through. So it will have, some of these functions that we, looked at on the spaces function, with the power of AI to do it a bit more easily on that side, on Question Pro BI Stats. We're hoping to have that released over in the month of August or September. So that release is coming through, where we'll definitely be happy to walk you all through all more updates on how we can do that on Question Pro BI. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions, everyone? So we're right on time. Not to we didn't. It's not like we're finishing so early, because this is like 10 more minutes to end the webinar. So right on time. With the Ashad, they're asking you to share the links for Question Pro on the channel. The recording for this will be made available to everyone after this event, and if you need to contact Ashad or Professor Gupta, their details have also been provided. Ashad has offered to give some license to people who are interested. I definitely want to use Question Pro. It's time to move away from GISC now. And some people use Qualtrics. I've never used Qualtrics. I don't know what the features of Qualtrics. But from the moment I came across Question Pro, I know it is definitely more sophisticated than GISC, which I use, and that was my interest. That's why I wanted you to share this with us, because on this platform that we're all researchers. So having this information and these options is valuable for all of us to know that we don't have to stick to one platform, because there are other platforms that provide much more benefit. And just like Jones said, in terms of quantitative research, we are more qualitative in this network, and so we just have a few quantitative people. So understanding how to analyze quantitative data is also very important for us as researchers. Most journals these days are not just only accepting qualitative research anymore. It's mixed method and all that. So it's very important that we are well grounded in both kinds of research. So I would like to say thank you to both of you for being here today, and we hope that we can have this as a more face-to-face practical session to help us more become grounded in research. And we hope to invite you again to our platform for future webinars. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for being here, for listening to this, and for engaging with our speakers today. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you in the next webinar.
Thank you all.
Thank you.